So, I really want you to picture this right now. You are standing at the edge of this incredibly lush, historic English countryside estate.
Oh yeah, just that classic damp green setting.
Exactly. The air is like super thick and humid, and suddenly you smell burning rubber. You feel this absolute deafening roar of a modern V6 turbo hybrid engine, and it's vibrating right through your chest cavity.
Right, it's that deep sort of electrified guttural growl.
Yeah, that exact sound. And then just moments later, as that car completely disappears up this really narrow driveway, the sound is totally replaced.
Just entirely shifts.
Right. Now it's the high-pitched, ear-splitting scream of a naturally aspirated vintage V10 from the 1990s, and it's echoing off the stone walls. Welcome to the ultimate motorsport time machine.
It really is a sensory overload, like in the best possible way, though. I mean, there is nowhere else on the planet where you get that specific collision of sights and sounds and smells, honestly.
Right, it's wild.
It's essentially this live-action museum where the exhibits can deafen you.
Exactly. And honestly, that is the whole mission of our deep dive today. We are unpacking a comprehensive guide to all the Formula One teams, the drivers, and these incredibly rare, iconic cars heading to the 2026 Goodwood Festival of Speed.
Which is running from July 9th through the 12th for those tracking it.
Yes, July 9th through the 12th. We have got the official schedules, the rosters, and we are going to get right into the actual mechanics of why these specific cars matter so much to you as a fan.
And, you know, to really understand why this year's event is so special, we have to talk about the 2026 festival's official theme.
Right. The rivals.
Yeah, exactly. The rivals' epic racing duels. It basically perfectly sets the stage for what we're going to discuss today. We're going to explore how Formula One teams are basically using Goodwood to showcase their cutting-edge modern operations.
Like the absolute peak of current engineering.
Right, but sitting directly alongside their deeply nostalgic heritage. It's really this masterclass in how these massive organizations balance the sort of ruthless pursuit of the future with the romantic legacy of their past.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with those modern operations.
Yeah.
Because before we get into all the historical legends, I mean, let's look at the current era of F1 hardware.
Which is fascinating right now.
It really is.
It is.
Top-tier teams are literally bringing their highly secretive engineering directly to the fans.
Yeah.
Take the current championship leaders. Mercedes, I mean, they are going all out.
They really are bringing a heavy lineup.
Yeah, they've got the young Italian phenom Kimi Antonelli making his Goodwood debut on Thursday.
Right.
Then their third driver, Fred Vesti, takes the wheel of the B13. Now, that is their 2022 Challenger, but, and this is interesting, they've painted it in their current 2026 livery.
Yeah, standard practice, really.
Right, and he's driving that on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah.
But I have to ask you, why the 2022 car? Like, if Mercedes wants to show off their modern dominance, why aren't they bringing the actual current 2026 car?
So that's a really great question, and it basically comes down to the intensely paranoid world of Formula One regulations.
Paranoid is the right word for sure.
Oh, absolutely. The FIA, you know, the governing body, they are incredibly strict about testing current machinery. They just do not want any team gaining like an unfair aerodynamic or data gathering advantage outside of official test days.
So they just flat out can't run them.
Exactly. Teams simply aren't allowed to run current cars, even up a casual hill climb for fun. But the 2022 car is this perfect loophole because it represents the very beginning of the current ground effect era.
Right. Okay. And for the listener who might, just watch the Netflix show and not read the technical rulebook, what exactly makes a ground effect car like the W13 so fundamentally different from the cars of the 2010s?
Well, it fundamentally changes how the car actually sticks to the road. Older cars relied really heavily on overbody aerodynamics.
It's the massive front and rear wings.
Exactly, just pushing the car down from the top. But the 2022 W13 and, the cars of today, they generate a massive amount of their downforce from underneath.
Oh, wow. Underneath the floor.
Yeah, they have these intricate Venturi tunnels carved right into the floor of the car, and they channel air in a way that literally sucks the car down to the tarmac.
That is insane.
It really is. It creates this immense amount of grip in high-speed corners. So by bringing the W13, Mercedes is still giving fans the real, visceral, physical experience of seeing modern ground effect aero functioning right in front of them.
Even if it's technically a few years old.
Right. Even if it's a few years old, it still behaves like the modern grid.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. But Mercedes doesn't stop at the track either. They're setting up this massive fan hub, and they are literally offering fans the chance to perform a pit stop on the W09.
Which is just wild to think about.
It is. That is the championship-winning car from their 2018 campaign. And honestly, this is where my brain kind of breaks. Isn't it just mind-blowing that a car from just a few years ago is already treated as this revered, touchable museum piece?
I mean, it really highlights the sheer terrifying pace of innovation in Formula One.
Yeah.
A car from 2018 is technologically ancient compared to what is on the grid today.
Ancient. Really?
Oh, yeah. In 2018, they were optimizing completely different aerodynamic philosophies, so allowing fans to literally change the tires on a genuine championship-winning car, it demystifies the sport.
Right, it makes it real.
Exactly. It takes this billion-dollar, totally exclusive enterprise and puts the wheel gun right in your hands.
Wow. Now, Aston Martin is taking a slightly different approach to that fan connection. They are bringing a car that is essentially brand new to the FOS fan zone presented by Pirelli.
Yeah, they're bringing the AMR 25.
Right, which is the exact chassis from the 2025 season just last year, where they finished P7 in the team's championship. And they are putting their reserve driver, Jack Crawford, along with their head of F1 Academy and driver ambassador, Jessica Hawkins, in the seat.
Right.
Both of them are tackling the hill for the very first time in this car. But let me challenge you on this a bit.
Okay, go for it.
Is this just a fancy PR stunt? Like, how much can Aston Martin really learn about a driver like Jack Crawford by having him drive up a narrow driveway in the English countryside?
Well, it's a completely fair skepticism. I mean, you aren't getting aerodynamic data or tire degradation metrics on a 1-minute hill climb.
Right, obviously not.
But this raises an important point about what teams are actually testing here. They are testing human psychology.
Oh, interesting.
Think about the actual environment. The Goodwood Hill is incredibly narrow. It's lined with these unforgiving flint walls, literal hay bales, and thousands of fans standing just feet away from the tires.
So there is zero margin for error.
Exactly zero. So it's not about lap times at all.
So it's really about sensory processing under pressure.
Precisely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, putting reserve drivers in a phenomenally powerful machine in a highly constrained environment is just a brilliant low-stakes pressure test.
Right, I see that.
Aston Martin gets to see how Crawford and Hawkins manage their adrenaline.
Yeah.
How do they handle the clutch bite point in front of 50,000 people with a cold engine?
Oh, yeah, you don't want to stall there.
Exactly. And how do they manage the media obligations right after? It simulates the intense spotlight of a Grand Prix weekend without actually risking championship points.
That is such a good point. And that idea of testing drivers organically connects to what I think is honestly the most exciting storyline of the weekend.
The youth movement.
Yes. While teams are bringing out the hardware, Goodwood has secretly become the ultimate youth movement. Teams are throwing just a massive influx of next-generation talent at this hill. Like, let's look at the Red Bull stable, because the sheer volume of drivers they are fielding is just wild.
It really is a massive deployment of their talent pipeline. I mean, for the main Red Bull racing squad, you have rising star Isaac Hadjar, current reserve driver Yuki Tsunoda, and then Patrick Friesacher, who is a veteran member of their stable sort of anchoring things.
Right.
But the sister team, Racing Bulls, is where it gets highly analytical.
Yeah, Racing Bulls is bringing Liam Lawson, young prodigy Arvid Lindblad, and, crucially, Ayumu Iwasa.
Yes, Iwasa is a big deal here.
He really is, and it is so important to pause on Iwasa because he is the 2025 Super Formula Championship winner. And for our listeners who might not closely follow Japanese motorsport, Super Formula cars are basically the closest thing on Earth to a Formula One car in terms of raw cornering speed.
Oh, easily. The downforce is incredible.
Right, so winning that championship basically proves you can handle immense G-forces and really high downforce machinery.
Exactly. Super Formula is arguably the most rigorous finishing school for F1 outside of Formula 2. So by bringing a reigning champion like Iwasa, Racing Bulls is actively signaling to the global motorsport community the absolute caliber of talent they have waiting in the wings.
Like a flex.
Total flex. Goodwood has quietly evolved into this live audition for the future of the sport.
I hear that, but is it really an audition, though? Like, going back to my earlier point about Aston Martin, this is a hill climb lined with hay bales. It's not the Suzuka circuit. Right. How much data can Racing Bulls actually get from Ayumu Iwasa driving basically in a straight line?
Well, again, it's not telemetry data, it's composure data.
Yeah.
When you put Ayumu Iwasa in an F1 car at Goodwood, you are watching how he integrates with the engineers in a very chaotic festival environment.
Ah, I see.
Does he over-rev the engine to show off to the crowd and risk stalling? Or is he clinical, precise, and mature?
Right, because maturity matters so much.
Exactly. In a sport where a single mistake costs millions of dollars, proving you have ice in your veins at a chaotic festival is a very real data point for a team principal who's deciding who gets the next open seat.
That makes total sense. Now, Alpine is taking that concept, blending the future with the past, and they are executing it brilliantly. They are blending current F1 stars, future talent, and incredible heritage cars all together.
Their lineup is fantastic.
It is. Pierre Gasly is driving on Thursday, and young Franco Colapinto is taking over on Saturday. But the car they are driving is what completely blows my mind, the E20.
Oh man, the E20 is a remarkable, deeply visceral piece of machinery.
It is the exact car that Kimi Raikkonen drove to victory at the 2012 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, back when the team was operating under the Lotus name.
Right, the leave me alone, I know what I'm doing car.
Yes, exactly that car. And the mechanical difference between this and today's cars is just staggering. Like I said to you earlier, it's almost like having modern astronauts fly an Apollo capsule. Or wait, maybe it's more like the difference between wrestling a wild animal barehanded versus flying a fighter jet by wire.
That is definitely a much more accurate metaphor. Today's V6 turbo hybrid cars are these heavily computer-assisted marvels. The power delivery is smoothed out by electrical energy deployment from the battery.
So it's very refined.
Very refined. But the E20 from 2012 is from the V8 era. It is completely naturally aspirated. When you step on the throttle of a V8, the power delivery is instantaneous, raw, and just violent. Right. There is no turbo lag, but there is also no electrical torque filling in the gaps. So watching a modern driver like Gasly adapt his hyper-refined driving style to a machine that is so analog and aggressive is a huge thrill for any motorsport purist.
And Alpine isn't just letting the current stars have all the fun either. They are bringing a whole roster of young talent. They've got the reserve driver Paul Aron, Formula 2 racer Alex Dunn, and crucially F1 Academy race winner Nina Gottman.
Which basically proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that Goodwood is now officially a premier showcase for the entire junior racing ladder.
Absolutely.
Putting Nina Gottman, a winner in the all-female F1 Academy series, into this environment exposes her to the massive global fan base that Goodwood attracts.
It's huge exposure.
It really is. It builds her profile and normalizes seeing the next generation of diverse talent sharing the exact same tarmac as the established legends.
So while teams like Red Bull and Alpine are really using Goodwood to audition the people who will define their future, teams like Ferrari are using it to remind us why they are the standard those rookies are chasing in the first place.
Well, Ferrari always brings the prestige.
Always.
Mm-hmm.
We have to talk about the heavy emotional weight of the historical milestones this year. Ferrari is celebrating a staggering 75 years of success at this festival.
And Ferrari and Goodwood are deeply intertwined, but this specific anniversary they're celebrating is monumental.
Right. Because they are specifically marking 75 years since their very first Formula One win. That was achieved by Jose Froilán González at the 1951 British Grand Prix.
1951.
1951. You think about how much the world has changed, how many car manufacturers have completely gone bankrupt or left the sport since 1951, and Ferrari is still out here competing at the absolute pinnacle.
Still the biggest name in the game.
Yeah, and winning that specific race in 1951 was huge for them because they finally beat the dominant Alfa Romeos of that era.
What's really fascinating here is how Ferrari leverages that specific history today. By highlighting Gonzalez's 1951 victory at the British Grand Prix, they are connecting their distinctly Italian heritage directly to the British fans standing on the grass at Goodwood.
Oh, that's clever.
It is. They're reminding the English crowd that Ferrari's invincible aura was heavily forged on British soil. It's just brilliant historical marketing.
It grounds a massive global brand in local history. And speaking of emotional showcases grounded in British history, Williams might have the most poignant lineup of the entire weekend.
I completely agree.
They are celebrating 30 years since Damon Hill won his world championship in 1996. And they aren't bringing some replica chassis. Damon Hill himself is going to drive his fully restored championship-winning FW18 up the hill.
Seeing a driver reunited with the exact chassis that defined their career is always a highlight. I mean, the 1996 Williams was an aerodynamic masterpiece designed by Adrian Newey.
It's iconic.
When Hill gets back into that cockpit, it just brings the history off a Wikipedia page and makes it a living, breathing, roaring thing again.
But Hill isn't driving it alone. He's sharing driving duties with the current Williams team principal, James Vowles. And here's where it gets really interesting. Williams isn't stopping at 1996.
Nope, they're going further back.
They are also running the FW-E8C. That is the legendary, absolutely brutal machine that Keek Rosberg won the 1982 title in.
Oh man, that car.
Yeah. And they're having reserve driver Luke Browning, F1 Academy advisor Jamie Chadwick, and James Vowles all drive it. So I really have to ask you, does seeing a team principal like Vowles step out of the boardroom and actually drive a legendary heritage car change how fans perceive the corporate side of modern F1?
Unquestionably. I mean, if we connect this to the broader picture, modern Formula One is incredibly corporate right now.
Very much so.
It's driven by AWS data centers, wind tunnel correlations, billion-dollar valuations. The team principals are effectively CEOs of tech companies. So it can feel very sterile to the average fan. But when you put James Vowles in a fire suit and strap him into a relic from the 80s, and let's be really clear here, the 1982 FW's Area 8C is from a vicious era of ground effect racing.
Yeah, those cars were brutal.
They had virtually no suspension travel and physically battered the drivers. So putting him in that strips all the corporate veneer away.
Right. It basically shows he's not just a spreadsheet manager.
Exactly. It shows profound reverence for a team's history. It builds immense brand loyalty because it reminds the fans that behind the pit wall strategy software, these teams are built on deeply emotional legacies.
Yeah.
Vowles driving that car tells the fans, I am willing to physically endure what our legends endured because I love this sport just as much as you do.
It humanizes the whole operation wonderfully. Now, if Williams and Ferrari represent the purity and the emotion of racing, McLaren represents Goodwood's unique ability to create massive, viral, pop culture crossover moments.
McLaren always understands the assignment at Goodwood. They know it's a festival, not just a track day.
They really do. Let's talk about their Saturday plans, specifically what they are calling the balcony moment.
This is going to be huge.
Oh, it's going to break the internet. Lando Norris is going to appear on the balcony of Goodwood House, which is essentially the center stage of the entire festival. But he is going to be standing alongside one of his absolute ultimate heroes, the 9-time MotoGP world champion Valentino Rossi.
This is exactly what makes Goodwood so spectacular. You have a current Formula One superstar deeply entrenched in the four-wheel world, sharing a balcony with the undisputed legend of two-wheeled racing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It completely breaks down the tribal barriers between different motorsport disciplines. For a fan standing on the lawn looking up, you are seeing royalty from two completely different kingdoms joining forces to just celebrate speed.
It's the ultimate crossover episode. But McLaren is also bringing serious heat to the track. Norris is going to tackle the hill in his 2023 car, the MCL 60. Meanwhile, their reserve driver, Leonardo Fornaroli, is going to have basically the busiest, most stressful weekend of his life.
Poor guy is going to be exhausted.
Seriously. He's driving on Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, and he's sharing driving duties of 3 different heritage cars with former F1 racer Bruno Senna and McLaren heritage driver Rob Garofal.
And the specific machinery they have chosen to roll out of the McLaren Technology Center vault is just staggering for any motorsport historian.
It really is. They are bringing the 1993 MP48 and the MP48B. But crucially, they're bringing the M23. Now, I want you to imagine the sheer nerve it takes to drive this car.
It takes a lot.
The M23 is the exact model that James Hunt used to win the 1976 World Championship. That was exactly 50 years ago. This isn't just some old car. It has an entirely manual H-pattern gearbox, massive rear tires, a rudimentary aluminum tub that offers terrifyingly little crash protection, and 0 computer aids.
0.
It is a 50-year-old, totally irreplaceable, championship-winning artifact.
Right.
And you're a young reserve driver, and your boss hands you the keys and basically says, go drive this up a narrow hill lined with brick walls.
It is the ultimate exercise in trust. I mean, the M23 is a foundational piece of McLaren's mythology. It represents one of the most dramatic, cinematic seasons in the history of the sport.
The battle between James Hunt and Niki Lauda.
Exactly, 1976. When you hear that naturally aspirated Ford Cosworth DFE engine fire up and watch it aggressively slide its rear tires, you aren't just watching a car, you are watching history in motion.
Yeah.
The responsibility on a young driver like Fornaroli to respect the mechanical limits of that irreplaceable machinery while still giving the fans a proper display of speed is immense. It's a complete tightrope walk.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Why does a weekend in the English countryside matter in the grand scheme of a global multi-billion-dollar motorsport championship?
It's a fair question.
Because Goodwood isn't just a car show. It is the only place on Earth where the incredibly rigid, intensely secretive, and highly guarded world of Formula One actually lets its hair down.
Yeah, they dropped the guard.
Exactly. It's the only place that allows you, the fan, to stand literally inches away from the 1951 Ferraris, the 1976 McLarens, and the cutting-edge cars of tomorrow, all breathing the exact same air on the exact same afternoon. It connects the dots of innovation right in front of your eyes.
And as we look ahead to the rest of the F1 calendar, it's really worth noting that the Belgian Grand Prix is right around the corner.
Ah, yes, running July 17th through the 19th.
Right, which leaves us with a fascinating thought experiment to ponder. 50 years from now, in the year 2076, which of the incredibly advanced cars racing next weekend at the legendary Spa-Francorchamps circuit will be roaring up the Goodwood Hill?
Wow, that's wild to think about.
Right. Which of today's young drivers like Kimi Antonelli or Ayumu Iwasa will be returning as the gray-haired heritage legends? And what stories of epic duels will they tell to the next generation of fans standing on that very same lawn?
That is an incredible thought to leave on. History is being written right now, and one day we'll look back at 2026 the way we look back at 1976. Now, if you want to keep exploring the amazing world of Formula One and beyond with us, I need you to subscribe to my channel, and if I brought you some value today, I'd love it if you'd like this video and leave a comment below with which legendary car you'd want to drive up the hill.